Hi everyone, I thought I'd share my favourite book with you. It's called The Smartest Giant in Town. George was a giant. He was the scruffiest giant in town. He always wore the same old brown sandals and the same old patched up gown. I wish I wasn't the scruffiest giant in town, he said sadly. But one day, George noticed a new shop full of smart clothes, so he went in and he bought a smart shirt, a smart pair of trousers, a smart belt, a smart stripy tie, some smart socks with diamonds up the side, and a pair of smart shiny shoes. Now I'm the smartest giant in town, he said happily. George left his old clothes behind in the shop. He was about to go home when he heard a sound. On the pavement stood a giraffe who was sniffing sadly. "What's the matter?" asked George. "It's my neck," said the giraffe. "It's so very, very long and so cold. I wish I had a long warm scarf." "Cheer up," said George, as he took off his stripy tie and wound it round and round the giraffe's neck. "It made a wonderful scarf." "Thank you," said the giraffe. George strode towards home and sang to himself, "My tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe, but look me up and down, I'm the smartest giant in town." George came to a river. On a boat stood a goat who was bleating loudly. "What's the matter?" asked George. "It's my sail," said the goat. "It blew away in a storm. I wish I had a strong new sail for my boat." "Cheer up," said George, as he took off his white shirt. "It kept coming untucked anyway," he said. He tied it to the mast of the goat's boat. It made a magnificent sail. "Thank you," said the goat. George strode towards home, singing to himself, "My tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe. My shirt's on a boat as a sail for a goat. But look me up and down, I'm the smartest giant in town." George came to a tiny ruined house. Beside the house stood a white mouse with lots of baby mice. They were all squeaking. "What's the matter?" asked George. "It's our house," squeaked Mother Mouse. "It burnt down, and now we have nowhere to live. I wish we had a nice new house." "Cheer up," said George, and he took off one of his shiny shoes. "It was giving me blisters anyway," he said, as the mouse and her babies scrambled inside. "The shoe made a perfect home for them." "Thank you," they squeaked. George had to hop along the road now, but he didn't mind. As he hopped, he sang to himself, "My tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe. My shirt's on a boat as a sail for a goat. My shoe is a house for a little white mouse. But look me up and down, I'm the smartest giant in town." George came to a campsite. Beside a tent stood a fox who was crying. "What's the matter?" asked George. "It's my sleeping bag," said the fox. "I dropped it in a puddle. I wish I had a nice warm sleeping bag." "Cheer up," said George, as he took off one of his socks with diamonds up the side. "It's tickling my toes anyway," he said as the fox snuggled inside it. "It makes a very fine sleeping bag for the fox." "Thank you," he said. George hopped along the road, singing to himself, "My tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe. My shirt's on a boat as a sail for a goat. My shoe is a house for a little white mouse. One of my socks is a bed for a fox. Look me up and down, I'm the smartest giant in town." George began George came to a squelchy bog. Beside the bog stood a dog who was howling. "What's the matter?" asked George. "It's this bog," said the dog. "I need to get across, but I keep getting stuck in the mud. I wish I had a safe, dry path." "Cheer up," said George, and he took off one of his smart new belt. "It was squashing my tummy anyway," he said. As he laid it down over the bog, it made an excellent path. "Thank you," said the dog. The wind had started to blow, but George didn't mind. He hopped along the road and sang to himself. "My tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe. My shirt's on a boat as a sail for a goat. My shoe is a house for a little white mouse. One of my socks is a bed for a fox. My bell helped a dog who was crossing a bog. But my trousers are falling down. I'm the coldest giant in town." Suddenly George felt sad and shivery and not at all smart. He stood on one foot and thought, "I'll have to go back and get some more clothes." So he decided to turn round and hopped all the way back to the shop. But when he got there, it was closed. "Oh no," cried George as he sank down onto the doorstep, and a tear ran down his nose. He felt sad and shivery and not at all, and so sad that all as the animals that he'd helped on the way home. Then out of the corner of his eye, he saw a bag with something familiar poking out of it. "My gown," he yelled, "my dear old gown and sandals." George put them on and felt wonderfully comfortable. "Now I'm the cosiest giant in town," he cried, and he danced all the way back along the road. Outside his front door, there were all the animals he had helped, carrying an enormous present. "Come on, George," they said, "open it." George untied the ribbon, and inside was a beautiful crown and card. "Look inside the card, George," said the animals. George put the crown on his head and opened the card. Inside it said, "Your tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe. Your shirt is a sail for a boat, for a goat. Your shoe is a house for a little white mouse. Your socks is a bed for a fox. Your belt helps a dog who was crossing a bog. So here's a very fine crown to go with the sandals and the gown of the kindest giant in town." And they've drawn some lovely pictures, look. So that's our story for today. So I hope to see you again next week. Now I want to tell you something exciting. I've started a group called Nottinghamshire Bear Hunt. And what the idea is that we're all going to put a little teddy bear in our windows, and when you're out on your walks once a day to get some fresh air and exercise, you can look out through people's windows and see the teddy bear sitting there and see how many you can spot every day. So I'm going to put the link onto our Toddler Time website, and if you want to join in, do so, and then you can put down where you found some bears in the comments. So I hope you like that idea, and I hope to see you all next week. Bye.